Not just the theory, but how to actually apply it to your life.
One of the coolest things Meurisse does is how he redefines productivity.
Oh, so...
It's not just about cranking out work, it's about finding that balance between work, your relationships, and how you manage your energy throughout the day.
See, that's what I think people miss a lot, right? It's like we try to power through on willpower alone.
Yeah, you burn out that way.
But what if we, like, worked with our natural energy cycles instead of against them?
Exactly. Imagine, end of your workday. You're energized, not drained. You've got that pep in your step to do those hobbies you've been putting off, or just hang out with friends and family.
Without feeling like you need a nap.
Yeah, exactly.
So how do we even figure out what our energy cycle looks like?
Meurisse, he breaks it down into 6 phases, and figuring out your peak energy time, that's a big part of mastering your time. Some people, they're morning people, they're firing on all cylinders right away. Some hit their stride later.
I am not a morning person.
Well, there you go. And this ties into circadian rhythms.
Wait, circadian rhythms. Now that sounds familiar.
It's basically your body's internal clock.
Okay.
This 24-hour cycle, it controls things like when you sleep, hormones, even your body temperature.
So that's why some people are like, I have to have my coffee first thing, and others are like, I'll have tea at noon,
Exactly. And the book really hammers home you got to work with your natural rhythms, not fight them. Once you know when your energy's highest, that's when you schedule your most important work.
Okay, I'm on board with that. I'm figuring out my energy cycle, got my to-do list, ready to go, and then, bam, procrastination hits.
The dreaded procrastination.
How do we deal with that, mobster?
Meurisse has a really helpful way of looking at it. He sees it as a puzzle to solve, not some personal failure.
Okay, I like that.
He lists 4 reasons why we procrastinate, and one that really gets me is that fear of not doing a good enough job. Like that perfectionism trap.
Ugh, yes, I know that one. Like, if it's not going to be perfect, why even bother starting?
Exactly. And that's where self-compassion comes in. The book has some great advice on how to get past that fear. One thing he suggests is breaking down tasks into smaller chunks.
So it's kind of like that eat the frog productivity thing.
Yeah, kind of. But maybe a little less, intimidating.
Yeah.
Those smaller steps, they make the task seem less overwhelming, so you're more likely to actually start.
Okay, that makes sense. So you're saying we get started, and then Meurisse throws us this curveball about how our thoughts about the past and future can actually mess with how we use the present moment.
It's kind of mind-bendy, but we've all been there. Dwelling on past regrets or stressing about what might happen.
Oh, absolutely.
But how does that affect our productivity?
Well, I'd imagine if your mind's off time traveling, it's not exactly focused on the task at hand, right?
Bingo. It zaps your energy, you're not fully present.
So how do we get out of that mental time travel trap?
Meurisse suggests using the past in a constructive way. Learn from your mistakes, forgive yourself and others, let go of the stuff you can't change. That way, you free up mental space to focus on what you can control.
Which is the present moment, right?
The here and now.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about the future? How do we stop all those worries from taking over?
That's where planning and setting goals comes in. Meurisse is big on using urgency as a tool to kind of break free from procrastination and get things moving.
Wait, hold on. Using urgency. Isn't that like the opposite of what we're going for? The whole point is to feel less stressed, right?
Yeah, it's not about being in a constant state of panic. It's about strategic deadlines. Like, think about how productive you are right before a vacation. Getting everything done so you can relax and enjoy yourself.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's about harnessing that kind of energy, but in a healthier way.
Okay, so instead of letting deadlines loom over us, we can use them to our advantage.
Right. Set those deadlines, break big goals down into smaller steps, and give yourself time frames. That way, you create that sense of urgency, but you're not overwhelmed.
This reminds me of that 90-day challenge idea.
Yeah.
You set a goal, you commit to it for 90 days, and having that deadline, that can be really motivating.
It can be. But even with deadlines, even with clear goals, focus is still a challenge.
Oh, tell me about it. With all the distractions we've got these days.
Meurisse has a whole section on focus killers, and he doesn't hold back.
So spill it. What are the worst offenders when it comes to killing our focus?
We're talking the usual suspects here, right? Checking email and social media a million times a day, trying to do a million things at once, all those annoying notifications popping up on our phones.
And don't forget those unexpected interruptions, like when you're finally in the zone and bam, your dog decides it's playtime.
Exactly. It's a constant battle. But Meurisse says A big part of mastering your time is mastering your focus, and that's where understanding the 80-20 principle comes in.
Okay, I've heard of 80-20, but I'm not sure I totally get it.
Oh, it's also called the Pareto principle. It basically says roughly 80% of your results come from only 20% of your efforts.
So we need to figure out what those high-impact activities are and prioritize them.
You got it. It's not about doing everything, it's about doing the right things, the things that actually move the needle. And this applies to work, personal life, even hobbies.
Makes sense. We're not just working faster, we're working smarter. Which goes back to mastering the fundamentals, right? Like Meurisse talks about. If you've got that strong foundation, you're less likely to waste time on mistakes.
Exactly. He uses the example of learning proper weightlifting technique. It seems small, but mastering those fundamentals, it can prevent injuries, which saves you time in the long run.
Okay, I'm seeing the connection. So 80-20, mastering the fundamentals. Any other time multiplier secrets we should know about?
Well, that's where we'll pick up in the next part of our deep dive. We'll be exploring more of those time-multiplying secrets and diving into the fascinating concept of flow state.
Ooh, can't wait to hear more about that. Stick around, everyone. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone. Before the break, we were getting into this idea of flow state.
Yeah, that feeling where you're so absorbed in something, you totally lose track of time.
Exactly. It's like being in the zone, super focused and productive. And Meurisse gives us some good advice on how to actually create those conditions for flow.
Yeah, because it's not like it just happens magically, right?
Not usually, no. He talks about establishing solid routines.
Routines, huh? I'm not gonna lie, I'm not always the best at sticking to a rigid schedule.
It doesn't have to be super rigid, like having every minute planned out. It's more about creating an environment that supports your focus.
Okay, I can get behind that. So like having a dedicated workspace, getting rid of distractions, turning off notifications, that sort of thing.
Right, exactly. Or even using a specific cue to signal that it's work time.
Like, I don't know, lighting a scented candle or putting on noise-canceling headphones.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever works for you. It's about training your brain to associate those cues with focused work. But even with the best routines, distractions are going to pop up. Remember all those focus killers we talked about earlier?
Oh yeah, they're sneaky.
Email, social media, that pile of laundry that needs folding. They're all lurking.
Ugh, don't remind me.
Meurisse also talks about the dangers of constantly switching between tasks. Like, you're trying to write a report, but you keep checking your phone and jumping between different projects.
Guilty as charged.
It feels like you're getting more done, but you're actually making yourself less efficient.
Because your brain has to, like, switch gears every time you interrupt a task, right?
Exactly. Takes time to refocus each time. So one of the biggest keys to improving your focus is minimizing those interruptions.
Makes sense. So we've talked about routines, we've talked about distractions, and now I think it's time to get into those time-multiplying secrets that Meurisse keeps mentioning.
All right, let's do it. These might sound almost too good to be true, but it's really about leveraging resources and strategies to free up more of your time so you can focus on what matters most.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give us the magic formula.
No magic wand, unfortunately. But one of the most powerful things Meurisse suggests is seeking help when you need it.
Yeah, that makes sense. We can't all be good at everything, and sometimes trying to do it all ourselves just leads to burnout.
Exactly. And delegating, it doesn't have to be about hiring a whole team of assistants. Just think about your everyday life. Are there things you could ask a family member or friend to help with?
Okay.
Could you use a grocery delivery service to save time on shopping?
See, now those are good practical tips. I like that. It's about being resourceful, finding creative ways to get things done without burning yourself out.
Right. And another big time multiplier is investing in skills that can help you complete tasks more efficiently.
Okay, now how does learning a new skill save me time?
Think about it this way. If you learn a skill that helps you do a certain task twice as fast, you've basically doubled your time, right?
True, yeah.
This could be anything from learning keyboard shortcuts to taking a course on project management.
So it's not just about doing things faster, it's about doing them smarter. Which I guess goes back to mastering the fundamentals, like Meurisse talks about.
Absolutely. He talks about the importance of having a strong foundation so you're not constantly wasting time on mistakes or having to redo things. Like, he uses the example of learning proper weightlifting technique.
It might seem small, but those fundamentals, they really make a difference. Okay, so we've got delegating, we've got investing in new skills. What else?
Another big one is saving and investing wisely. Now, this one might make some people groan.
Yeah, finances. Not everyone's favorite topic.
You don't have to be a financial expert to benefit from this idea, though.
Hmm.
It's really about being more aware of your spending habits and understanding that money can be a tool to free up your time.
Can you give us a specific example?
Sure. Let's say you're constantly stressed about money. That anxiety, it takes up valuable mental space and energy that you could be using for other things, right?
Yeah, for sure. Money worries can be all-consuming.
So by learning some basic budgeting skills, or maybe even working with a financial advisor, you can potentially reduce that stress, free up that mental energy to focus on things you actually enjoy.
I'm starting to see the bigger picture here. It's not about being rich, it's about using money strategically to create more freedom and flexibility in your life.
That's it. And there's one more piece to this puzzle that I think is really important. Meurisse talks about cultivating a mastery mindset.
Mastery mindset, that sounds intense. What does that even look like in real life?
That's a great question, and that's what we'll explore in the final part of our deep dive. We'll break down the practical steps you can take to cultivate this mastery mindset. Plus, we'll have some final insights from Meurisse's book that I think you'll find really helpful.
Sounds good. Can't wait to hear it. Everyone stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, we're back. Ready to unlock those secrets of the mastery mindset from Thibaut Meurisse's Master Your Time.
It really is a powerful concept. And the great thing about mindsets is they're not fixed. You can actually work on developing them. Meurisse breaks this mastery mindset down into 3 key elements.
Okay, so what's the first one?
First one is mastering repetition.
So practice makes perfect.
Yeah, kind of. But it's more than just mindless repetition. It's deliberate practice, focusing on getting better at a specific skill or a process.
Like if you're learning to play guitar, at first it's all about getting those finger movements down.
Exactly. And then with practice, those movements become more automatic, so you can focus on other things like musicality or expression.
So it's like you're building those mental shortcuts so you can just do things more smoothly and efficiently.
Exactly. Okay, second element of the mastery mindset, mastering the fundamentals.
Ah, the fundamentals. So we're not just talking about knowing how to do something, but understanding the WHY behind it.
Yeah, exactly. It's about having that deeper understanding of the principles and concepts.
Like learning to code. It's not just memorizing syntax, it's understanding how the logic and the algorithms work.
Exactly. When you have a strong grasp of the fundamentals, you can solve problems more effectively, adapt to new situations. You can even innovate and come up with creative solutions.
Gotcha. So it's like building a strong foundation, and then you can handle whatever challenges come your way. All right, what's the third element, the final piece of the puzzle?
This one is being always ready to learn. Basically, having a growth mindset, being open to feedback, always looking for ways to improve your skills and your knowledge.
So being a lifelong learner, always curious, always trying to grow. I like that. It takes the pressure off of having to be perfect right now.
Right. It's about continuous improvement, not perfection.
I can get behind that.
Yeah.
So we've got this mastery mindset, and we combine that with all the other things we talked about, the energy cycles, prioritizing tasks, minimizing distractions. It's like all these pieces start to fit together.
It is. It's about taking control of your time and making it work for you, not the other way around. And I think the biggest takeaway for everyone listening is this. You have way more control over your time than you think.
It's not about magically finding more time, right? It's about using the time you do have more effectively.
Absolutely. It's about making those conscious choices, how you spend your hours and minutes, and making sure those choices align with your goals and your values.
It's about being the boss of your time, not letting it boss you around.
Love that. And one final thought-provoking question for everyone listening. If you could get back just 1 hour each day, just by using one of the techniques we've talked about, what would you do with that hour?
Ooh, good question. Connect with loved ones, work on a creative project, maybe just relax and recharge. Let us know what you would do.
You've got more power over your time than you realize. Go out there and make the most of it.